Hi, and welcome to the video Monitoring via NRPE. In the previous video, we defined commands. In this video, we will install NRPE on your monitoring target, then restrict access to the NRPE service. After that, define any additional checks to run, and finally configure your Nagios server to collect data via NRPE. As we saw previously, a number of plugins, such as check_memory, collect information from the system itself, which means that they cannot be directly used for monitoring remote systems. As these are often critical things to monitor, there are ways available to indirectly collect the information from remote systems using the Nagios Remote Plugin Executioner, NRPE. NRPE runs on the machine that you'd like to monitor and execute the same commands, plugins, which Nagios itself would have. Nagios is then configured to collect data from NRPE rather than collecting data directly. Now we will see how to start with it. Install NRPE on your monitoring target using sudo apt-get install Nagios NRPE server. Restrict access to the NRPE service using this command. Define any additional checks to run by adding them into etc nagios nrpe.cfg using this command. Configure your Nagios server to collect data via NRPE by creating etc nagios3 config.d linuxservers.cfg and these lines of code. Fantastic! Now let's see how it works. There are two major parts to using NRPE: configuring the NRPE services in your remote machine and configuring Nagios to use NRPE for collecting data. On the target, there are two major parts to using NRPE: configuring the NRPE services in your remote machine and configuring Nagios to use NRPE for collecting data. When configuring NRPE itself on the remote host, you'll want to ensure that your allowed _host definition is as restrictive as possible, while still allowing all monitoring systems to talk to it in order to avoid allowing random people to collect data about your systems. Additional protections, such as firewall rules, may not be a bad idea as well. When it comes to the commands which NRPE will execute, configuration is a lot simpler than it is with Nagios, but less flexible. Your service definition specifies the name of the command, check_raid, and the command which will be executed, including any arguments. Since any macros defined on your Nagios server would need to be passed to NRPE over the network, support for command line arguments to commands is discouraged. This is to avoid allowing attackers to execute arbitrary commands remotely. Instead, the commands will be configured in a manner that is either specified to the host or generic enough to have the desired behavior on any system on the Nagios host. Monitoring on the Nagios server side is handled just like it would be for any other service. The only difference is that the command being executed is check_nrpe_1rg, and its first argument is the command to execute on the remote host. If you need to pass arguments to the remote NRPE daemon, they can be passed using check_nrp instead of passing it as an additional argument. Superb! In this video, we monitored via NRPE. In our next video, we'll be monitoring via SNMP.